Of all movie opening scenes, which one sold the entire film? The opening robbery scene in The Dark Knight. I remember when I Am Legend was released and people would buy a ticket to watch it in IMAX just to see the Dark Knight prologue of the bank robbery and then leave. I'd say it would have been worth it. Not gonna lie. After that thing was done, I hated the fact that I was now in a theater watching I Am Legend instead of The Dark Knight. Then it happened again. When I went to The Dark Knight, there was a trailer for Watchmen. I had loved the comic, and I had no idea a movie had been in production. So there I was, resenting the fact that I was in a theater watching The Dark Knight instead of Watchmen. The Matrix opening with Trinity was filmed with the entire original budget to convince the studio that they weren't f***ing around. $10 million for the opening scene and only $63 million for the whole movie. That's quite impressive considering how much work CGI took then. I guess that it's not that surprising for a 5-minute sequence like that to take a huge portion of the budget. Equipment, props, and most importantly the experiments to nail down the CGI probability took much of that and were reused. Lord of War. The opening CR. I've always hated Nick Cage, but this movie is amazing. My HS ethics teacher showed it to our class and I loved it. Was pumped to see it was on Netflix. Saving Private Ryan. I had bought a ticket go see Saving Private Ryan. I had no idea what I was about to watch as I had not seen any trailers nor do I watch TV. The auditorium was packed. There was only one seat available in the entire theater. Front row and center. So the movie starts with an old man at Arlington National Cem. American Psycho. I remember listening to him list out every single thing he does to groom himself in the morning and I thought what a psycho, then thought I get it. I believe in taking care of myself. And a balanced diet and a rigorous exercise routine. In the morning, if my face is a little puffy, I'll put on an ice pack while doing my stomach crunches. I can do 1,000 now. After I remove the ice pack, I use a deep pore cleanser lotion. In the shower, I use a water activated gel cleanser. Then a honey almond body scrub. And on the face, an exfoliating gel scrub. Then apply a herb mint facial mask, which I leave on for 10 minutes while I prepare the rest of my routine. I always use an aftershave lotion with little or no alcohol, because alcohol dries your face out and makes you look older. Then moisturizer. Then an anti-aging eye balm followed by a final moisturizing protective lotion. Terminator 2. Starting with scenes of bustling everyday life. Rush hour traffic. Kids playing. etc. Then white flash to the same burnt out playground in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Sarah's somber voiceover explaining how it happened. We see a brutal battle between man and machine. Tanks and Terminators crushing human bones under M. Jaws. You never see the shark in the first attack. Just the knowledge that there's something under the water. Brilliant. Couldn't agree more. My father was a beach lifeguard when the movie originally came out. He has told me stories how people were legitimately afraid to go into the water after seeing the movie. Powerful stuff. Goodfellas. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Double quote. Scream has an incredible opening scene. Can't believe this is so low down. I think that to really appreciate it you have to be a child at the time because Drew Barrymore was the undisputed star of the movie and she gets offed in the first scene. I recently was talking to some friends about this and they, 20-somethings, were laughing that Drew got on the poster for her 12 minutes and how f***ed up it was to the rest of the cast. I had to explain that is what was so shocking about the movie. When it was released, everyone thought she would be the star of the show and then bam. She's done. Fellowship of the Ring. Set a great tone for all of what was to come. Man, every so often I want to watch a series of fantasy films that live up to Tolkien but there isn't anything so I just rewatch them every few years. I think it may be time around Christmas break again. Children of Men. Especially if you've never read the book. Holy cow. That was powerful. Roger Ebert pointed out that Theo was scared when the cafe was bombed. It's how you know he wasn't going to be a cliched action hero. In fact, he never uses a gun once in the entire film. And everything about that opening scene is educating the viewer. The city streets are choked with smog. The text screens "Drp head off the buildings" explain the setting, the near future, flawlessly. Then the newscast in the coffee shop perfectly explains the state of the world. No babies. And the youngest person has been murdered. Then boom. Pirates of the Caribbean. Curse of the Black Pearl. The opening scene on the boat in the fog with the young Will and Elizabeth perfectly captures how hilarious, spooky, and kick-ass the rest of the movie is going to be. Also the first Lord of the Rings. So intense and on a massive scale, only to be followed by the happy shy scenes. Tropic Thunder. And they ordered the segment it in a way that I'm sure they wanted some of the audience to think that Booty Sweat and Bust a Nut were real products. They didn't want you to catch on right away. Lol, I remember when I saw Tropic Thunder in the theater. After the Booty Sweat commercial. The theater was dead silent for a second until one guy said "What the hell?" and then laughter broke out. The first scene of Baby Driver. I can't believe that movie didn't win the Oscar for sound. The Departed. Powerful footage and commentary did such a great job of kicking it off, while giving a glimpse into what propelled Matt Damon's character into his entry into the criminal family. Then the line "When I was your age they would say we can become cops. Or criminals. Today. What I'm saying to you is this. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?" Double quote. Felt that was perfectly within the spirit of the entire movie. And sets the stage for what I consider to be one of the best films ever made. The opening of Serenity was a stunningly tight exposition. In minutes you are given an overview of the verse and what its central conflict is. You are also given the antagonist, the operative, and how coldly pragmatic he is. You are shown just how much Simon cares for River. Are given the whole layout of the ship. You are introduced to all the characters and see, by their interactions, their core beliefs and roles. There are some great openings listed in this thread, but I don't know that any of them hit the density of exposition as does Serenity. Thor Ragnarok really conveyed that this was a very different tone from the previous movies. This was comedy Chris Hemsworth. But it's still going to be an action movie. This is going to be more high fantasy sci-fi than the previous ones. And there's going to be a much greater focus on Thor being a badass. Cue immigrant song. Everyone here mentioning Fellowship of the Ring seemed to be forgetting about that time the camera flew through a mountain to a pit where a pair of basically gods were duking it out while falling to their almost certain deaths. Definitely The Shining. You get the dramatic music with the lonely car driving into the mountains of nowhere. Really is an iconic beginning to a movie and definitely set the tone that wherever that car is going it's not going to be a vacation to Disneyland. Boogie Nights. It's a beautifully executed long tracking shot. And it introduces pretty much every major character in the film. Finally culminating on a slow-mo zoom in on Dirk Diggler, or Eddie as he's known at this point. I just knew I was going to love it based on the genius of that opening shot. One of the 3 most influential films for me. I watched it when I was 14 and while I was already certain I knew I wanted to make movies when I grew up. That scene just solidified it even more. PTA is going to go down as one of the best filmmakers of all time. The black and white Frankenstein intro for Van Helsing, the one with Hugh Jackman, made me invested in the rest of the film. The rest of the film was kind of terrible, but I still remember it fondly on the strength of that opening. Zodiac, directed by David Fincher. No matter how much, or how little, you know about the truth behind the film, the opening scene does an incredible job of capturing your attention with such a jarring, gruesome, and methodical pace. I literally still get a chill down my spine every time they pull into the parking lot. Not to mention the fact that it completely changed my perception of one of my favorite songs. All around an excellent opening by Fincher. Kind of cheating, but the first scene and a half of Arrival. The opening scene showing her daughter's life and then the intro to her being a linguistic anthropologist is perfect way to show that this isn't just another alien invasion movie. Romeo and Juliet, the petrol station. I had to study every single frame of that scene for English Lit back in high school. I had to compare it to the original play and to give D. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. For me at least, that opening line makes me laugh every time. The first time I saw it I immediately knew it was going to be a good movie. Still one of my favorite movies. I saw it in theaters without having seen the trailer or knowing anything about it. Totally normal movie up until the arcade-like street fight with Matthew Patel, which I was definitely not expecting. F-king awesome movie. Up. Pixar nailed it. It sets the tone completely. This is not a story about an ordinary man in an ordinary life. Look, he's already lived a whole ordinary life. This is about what a crazy man does in his retirement. The emotional depth also indicates that this is not going to be just another happy-go-lucky kids film.